You check the luggage, check the luggage. Maybe something inside. Downtown to sell something, sell baby stuff.
Hey, just see this picture of the post? You know, everyone was worried about Queen Elizabeth and her health scare. Well, they snapped the picture. She was out driving around in her green Jaguar. And she's got her shades. I love the way the post said, you could barely see her above the steering wheel. I mean, you know, in Florida they call them the headless people. But, you know, people just...
Let's take 11th Avenue, West Street, Manhattan.
Alexa, good morning. Good morning, good morning. You produce the Russian people. On to the next one, on to the next one.
In half a mile, turn left.
Coffee. Yeah. It's our pleasure to serve. It's our pleasure to serve. Right. Yeah. On to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one.
Red light camera ahead.
On the way downtown to sell some baby stuff. Right? Wee. Clean clothes. Buy clean clothes, baby.
In 1,000 feet, turn left on 11th Avenue.
Wee, wee, wee. Wee, wee, wee. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Smell the coffee.
A very young age. I don't know. But it happens. So there's the
Wake up, wake up. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning. Today is Day of the Dead. While the name may not imply it, it's celebrated as a joyous holiday in Mexican culture. Families get together to honor those they've loved and lost, with offerings like toys, flowers, and sugar skulls. It's a lovely way to reflect on the sweetness of life. Here's your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. President Biden is meeting with other world leaders at the UN Climate Summit in Scotland. He says his administration will take several actions to limit methane. NPR's Dan Charles says that's one of the most powerful greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming.
The administration is proposing expanded regulations to get companies to prevent leaks from oil and gas operations. There will be financial incentives to get hog farms. And separate from that, there's an international effort. Some 90 countries have agreed to cut their methane emissions by 30% over the next decade.
NPR's Dan Charles reporting. The president is also announcing action on fighting deforestation. The U.S. hundreds of millions of miles of forests. Advisors to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are expected to decide today whether to greenlight the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for younger children. NPR's Windsor Johnston has more.
Up on the recommendation allowing the Biden administration to program Monday. Program will be fully up and running starting November 8th. The administration says it's working with more than 20,000 health committee last week said the Pfizer vaccine was more than 90% effective in young kids. Windsor Johnston, NPR News, Washington.
A report from the Urban Institute concludes that undercounted people of color at rates higher than seen a decade ago. NPR's Hansi Lo Wong has more.
Disruptions to the national headcount caused push for a citizenship question, and funding shortfalls may have led to the census counting some groups better than others, according to Urban Institute researcher Diana Elliott.
It's generally the group are not represented.
And that translates into inequities in how political power and federal funding are distributed based on census data. The Census Bureau is set to start releasing its own undercount estimates early next year. Hansi Lo Wong, NPR News.
Civil rights leader Jesse Jackson has been hospitalized in Washington, D.C. Yesterday. Doctors kept him open.
Good morning, baby.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington. It's election day in several states. Voters in New Jersey and Virginia are selecting new governors. Voters in Minneapolis are deciding whether to keep their police department or change the city charter to remove it for a new Department of Public Safety. Boston voters are selecting a new mayor today. From member station WBUR, Anthony Brooks reports they're choosing between two women.
For the past 200 years, Boston has elected white men to lead City Hall. That will change by the end of today. Voters are choosing between two city councilors, both women who identify as people of color. Michelle Wu is the 36-year-old daughter of Taiwanese immigrants and has been leading in the polls. She's a progressive. Free public transportation, universal preschool. running against Anissa Asaibi George, a political moderate and lifelong resident of Boston. Mother and last elected Secretary Brooks.
Meta accounts stopped accounts. President Daniel Ortega, Meta members of Nicaragua's opposition. Fourth term in office, nearly all of his opponents have been jailed and silenced. Facebook is a financial supporter of NPR. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.
This message comes from NPR sponsor. Your journey from takeoff to landing is thoughtfully designed with you in mind. Swap every version it.
Speed camera.
And a marathon. And one, maybe it'd be nice, Dave, you running the marathon with Wendy. DuckDuckGo.
In 1,000 feet, use the right lane to turn right on Liberty Street.
Brian Laundrie around, and it was really his mother, and the odds are he already committed suicide, and they're following the mom, and this thing was botched from beginning to end. And, Deborah Norville joins us now, on the Inside Edition, you can see it on Channel 2 at 7 o'clock.
Turn right on Liberty Street.
We're just mentioning the story out of Florida today, where the cops are finally admitting how they screwed up the whole. I mean, this thing was messed up from Utah, from Florida, and as a result, will we ever find out what happened to poor Gabby Petito?
I don't think so. I don't think we will. I think there will be speculation. I think a plausible explanation about what happened will be presented, but we will never know.
Never know.
Terrible, terrible situation for her family. And closure is something you never get when you have a loved one violently taken from you. But some understanding of what happened can be comforting, and they will not most likely get that, and that is yet another
Never know.
tragic situation.
Blah, 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 blah.
Is it impossible to tell because of the state of his body when they found it? Well, I think it's, I don't know.
Blah, 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 blah. No more blah, blah, blah.
None of us on the conversation are law enforcement or forensic experts. We've all watched a lot of CSI. But beyond, just knowing what you know from that sort of stuff and covering stories like this, I doubt they'd be able to completely take on that unless, if you remember, there was the bag that was found. And it was
Blah, 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 blah.
if by some chance he wrote notes and found out what his thoughts were and what his actions were that he was contemplating. Maybe there's a suicide note in there. We've heard nothing about the contents of the notebook.
Turn left on South End Avenue, then turn right.
Any of the footage from the Instagram post. They always have
Blah, 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 blah.
So perhaps there's something written, but I would say that's a better bet than any forensic physical evidence that they might have found.
We're on with our buddy Deborah Dorville, the host of Inside Edition. Deborah, how many stories have you done over the years? I mean, there are a lot of missing young women out there, and we don't know their stories because they're not attractive white blondes.
Turn right, then turn right.
You've tackled this issue on many occasions.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you remember, I think you and I spoke last February when I had a Lifetime movie about the Long Island serial killers.
Right,
and
right.
the reason I was drawn to that story was exactly that. This was a mom on a mission. A mom who said, my daughter's gone missing. Yes, she was a sex worker, but attention must be paid. And she was, frankly, such a nudge that she forced the Suffolk County Police Department to send some searching dogs out to the area where everyone knew she had last been seen. They did not initially find her remains, but they found the remains first of 4 other sex workers buried in the same way, in the same general area. Ultimately, as many as 16 bodies were discovered, including
You've arrived. Destination is on your left.
The daughter that Mary Gilbert was trying to find out what happened to. And no one was ever arrested for her murder. On a lighter now, this story on November 5th. I do. In your story on makeup for men. Now, what kind of makeup should No, I used to have to wear all that crap. Real life too? No, you do not. This is an optional thing, but apparently a lot of guys are opting in. And in fact, Alex Rodriguez has a line of male makeup and minimal makeup. So if you're trying to, we looked at 7 swatches from, when we were young, we didn't know, showing ourselves by working on our suntans. So if you've got those swatches, the men don't. They use a cover stick to make that go away. But I want your face to be a little more flawless. Resist. Resist. I do not want to add more to your. Some guys do, and we're here for them.
Well, as soon as you mentioned A-Rod, I said I'll take it. The A9 police, we thought they were total heroes. Telling the dog, run, Fido, run. Maybe telling Fido should not appropriately be being used. In fact, it got so bad at the Salt Lake City Police Department that in August of last year, during the pandemic, they disbanded their canine unit because there was such a high level of concern that the canines were being inappropriately used. For instance, they're great at chasing down suspects. If the guy's trying to get away from you, that dog is, listen, there was a canine dog that brought in Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, right? Remember the famous Belgian Malinois that was the hero dog?
in the American military. The dogs are great for that sort of stuff, but if the suspect is complying, if the guy is on the ground with his hands behind his back, doing exactly what you're telling him to do, you don't need to stick the dog on him. And that's the kind of thing that this story is looking at. Fascinating, and some of the video is pretty upsetting, so I know when I introduce the story, I'll have to say something.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, the stories are endless, from makeup for men to canine dogs to carry the kids, so whatever. No, it is interesting. And Deborah, we always enjoy having you on. Come back soon.
I would love to. Have a great one. Thanks, guys.
Okay, you too. You can always watch Inside Edition on Channel 2 weekdays at 7 o'clock in the evening. Well, coming up next, Alice back in Rosini is talking to voters in the city. Is it going to be a landslide in the mayor's race? We kind of think so, but Alice will tell us coming up next. I've been taking Balance of Nature through some veggies.
I'm selling something.
Balance of Nature through some veggies. I'm doing my immune system to boost the needs, so I'm going to stay healthy.
You want to see, Davey, what I'm selling? I'm going to show you what I'm selling. I'm selling something for the baby. I'm selling. This guy, he's gonna buy. See, this is a breast pump. Do you need a breast pump, Davey? I'm selling. I gotta get this guy, he's buying that. See, this is a pillow. He buy it for $70. Like a baby pillow, special baby pillow. You wanna buy? I think it's come with batteries, so I don't know. Supposedly like keep the baby happy. Okay, ask Wendy if she need a baby breast pump. Never use. to see my mask, Davey? You want to see my mask? Delivery. Delivery. How you doing? You busy? You busy?
Me?
Yeah, Uber,
Yeah.
Uber Eats, Amazon.
It's a good time going out today.
Yeah, how much they pay an hour? Amazon, huh?
Yeah, we get 17 hours. We get 10.
Oh, that's good.
Very good.
I might change. Baby, you like my new style, baby? Like my new style, baby? Take a picture. The picture, you know. So I'm gonna take a picture. You like my new style, baby? Oh. Black car. 1 second, somebody's coming. Looks at 355.